Hello and welcome to the Post-Up Show with Cyrus Rogers, also known as Cyrus J. Rogers. Just check the handle, and it's Kaunda Chama. Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going? From the real Kaunda.
You know, the real Kaunda, you got to do what you got to do. We're going to be talking about people who have not necessarily been keeping it real, and it's been hurting them. That's the Toronto Raptors. They've been less than impressive this season, and the haters are out. What have you been seeing? What are your thoughts on the Raptors? I know we both love them as a team and as an organization, but this hurts. This hurts to see.
Absolutely, Cyrus. Especially that just over a season ago they were the champions, right?
Yeah.
And but first, let's take a step back, Cyrus. They won the 2019 season, right? And they 2018-2019 season, and they won that with a rookie coach in Nick Nurse, head coach in Nick Nurse. They brought in the strength of Kawhi Leonard, one of the best two-way players in the league. Some people would even argue he's better than LeBron James, but I always let other people dwell in their own dreams. But they also had a great three-point shooter in Danny Green at that time. Pascal was playing at a higher level. They had Serge Ibaka. So look, if you look at the composition of that team, it has undergone tremendous change over the last, say, 18 months, Cyrus. And if you look at what they did last season, in the 2019-2020 season, which obviously was hampered by the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, but they played solid, Cyrus. Even saying, okay, we lost Kawhi, we lost Danny Green, things had to change. They still had Serge, who is a veteran, but still is a presence in the paint and can still spread the floor and shoot from three-point range. They had Marc Gasol at that time as well, another big guy, 35 big. Not as good a stretch five as he used to be back in the days, but he's still solid in there.
Yeah.
Cyrus, obviously, Kyle Lowry was playing at a much higher level. Pascal Siakam was playing at a high level. Fred VanVleet, Norman Powell, they were all playing well, Cyrus. But I think what's happened this season, I don't really know what to say. But I was thinking about this off camera and thinking, Cyrus, could it be COVID fatigue? And I know you're going to say everybody's being affected by COVID. Everybody's being affected by COVID. Everybody's under the same pressure, but we all react differently to pressure. Cyrus, you and I are under the same pressure. We're under lockdown. We can't get around much. We can't do what we're used to doing. You might be handling it better than I am. I might be handling it better than you are. We are living in the same city.
I definitely know you're struggling, but I get you. And in terms of just how these things work, right? There are excuses. So I don't necessarily go into the excuse bar, because there's some really big ones that the Raptors have that other teams don't have, namely having to leave their country. You know, they're playing in Tampa. This is something nobody else had to do. You're not seeing the Warriors leave San Francisco and move across to Memphis or something like that. So, you're not having that kind of stuff happening. But I mean, when you look at this, at the standings at present, right? They're 14th in the Eastern Conference. That's just not good enough. At the time of recording this, they've only won 2 of their 10 games. It's ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. But having said that, they're also kind of victims of their own success. You mentioned Kawhi being there in the championship-winning season, and yes, he was a big factor. And when he left, everyone thought, okay, now we will see a normalizing of the Raptors. So everyone expected them to become a really bad team. But instead, the rest of the guys rallied behind that. You saw the further emergence of Fred VanVleet to become a really, really great player. Pascal Siakam went from being good in that championship-winning season, surprisingly good, to then being really good in the season after that, to the point where he was selected for the All-Star game, if I remember correctly. And also winning Most Improved Player of the Year, in the sense that he just kept taking leaps and bounds. Now the pressure's on him to start delivering, and it doesn't seem that he's managing to really deliver on what they need. There's been some really close games. When you look at his stats, they're not terrible, actually. I mean, he's averaging 20 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, and 4.5 assists a game. Those stats are not bad, but they are not good enough to get the team across the line. And he's missed 2 game-winning shots in the last 2 games. I mean, that you talked about COVID fatigue, you talked about pressure. He doesn't seem to be handling it.
Cyrus, first of all, let's look at Pascal Siakam. He's a young player, right? He's been in the league how many years? 4 or 5 years?
I'd say 4 years. So 4 years.
He's pretty young. I mean, he's quite a youngster, and I know I wrote a piece about him being the new face of the Toronto Raptors after one Kawhi Leonard departed and went to Los Angeles. But Cyrus, that comes with a lot of pressure, especially. I'm not even going to use the fact that it comes from Africa, because we've had great Africans. Your likes of Hakeem Olajuwon and Dikembe Mutombo, they've stepped up, but I don't think they had to step up at such a young age. And I think the responsibility falling on the Toronto Raptors, or the whole of the Toronto Raptors' responsibility falling on his shoulders, I think it's a bit of a heavy load to carry. And we take a step back before we crown him the leader already, Cyrus. Does the Toronto Raptors really have an outright clear leader? Is it Kyle Lowry?
That's the thing. And I think that
is it Kyle Lowry?
It is Kyle Lowry. Yeah, it is Kyle Lowry.
But if you look at the way they play, does Kyle Lowry come up with those leadership qualities? I mean, I kind of think Kyle Lowry, right, is an interesting leader, because even when DeMar DeRozan was there, he always seemed like he was DeMar DeRozan's little brother that played with him on the same team.
Deferred to DeMar.
And he always deferred to DeMar.
DeRozan, yeah.
And then when DeMar left, funny enough, Kawhi came in. I think Kawhi was the de facto leader, because we knew this is, one of the best two-way players in the league. He's from a championship winning team, the San Antonio Spurs. He was Finals MVP. He came with all these accolades, right? And then you were not surprised that they just slotted him in as the leader. Now, once Kawhi left, there was no discussion on the table to say, is it now Serge? Is it now Kyle Lowry because of his experience? Is it even Fred VanVleet because he's just emerging? But we automatically thought, because Pascal Siakam was playing at such a high, we automatically, as analysts and as fans, gave that mantle to Pascal, saying, well, I suppose you're now the face of the Raptors because you're playing so well. Yeah,
but I guess
is that really the case?
But in case of face off, I think so. But in terms of leadership, and this is where we have to really look at the word, because Kyle Lowry really has been the heart and soul of that Raptors team for a long time. Now, his leadership acumen comes from the things he does and how he manages to motivate the guys to do certain things. But in terms of leading from the front with the ball, that isn't necessarily his game. It's never been his game. And so you always had DeRozan taking the last shot. You had Kawhi taking the last shot. Now you actually have Pascal taking the last shot. And that isn't necessarily what his game seems to be about in terms of Siakam, and also for Lowry, because when you look at them, none of them are the give me the ball for the final make and I'll make it. Yep. I think that in essence, a lot of coaches look at the size and say Siakam's going to be a tough player to guard from a size perspective and his skill set. We might as well give him the ball and see what he can do with it. The problem, though, is that Pascal has showed a tendency to use the exact same move time and time again. Mr. Spoon moves Siakam. Maybe Siakam means spin move in Cameroon. So, it's one of those where it's become a hindrance for him. People know exactly what he's going to do, and he needs to diversify his game style, the playing style, what he does and what he adds to the team. But when you look at it, you're looking at a player who contributes 20 points a game. That's actually 2 points a game less than he did in the previous season. Yet, he's also taking 2 field goal attempts less per game this season. It's only 9-10 games into the season, but you're seeing that he's trying to carry more of the load. He's done relatively well, but I feel there's a lot of the pieces around him that aren't doing their job. And one of the things for me is when you look at something like this in defensive rating, right? If you look at defensive rating as the litmus test here, the Raptors are 21st in a 30-team league. They are just not doing enough from the defensive standpoint to really get other teams to stay out of the lane and scoring. And that, for me, is a direct correlation to the fact that Serge Ibaka is gone, and we're also seeing Marc Gasol has left. They were very big defensive pillars on this team. They haven't managed to, the Raptors that is, managed to really make a push to get the defensive side of their game sorted properly. And I think that's been where there's a lot of issues.
Cyrus, I think that the Raptors have been doing this for a number of seasons. Somehow I don't know if they don't treasure their defensive force that much, in that, like, Jonas Valanciunas, defensive player, right? They let him
Jonas
go.
had to he had to go. They were bringing. They had Serge. You know.
They had Serge, the rim protector at the time, but they've let him go. Marc Gasol, another decent big man, they let him go. So I think
that's not fair, because it's not like they didn't want to keep them. Those players left. And that's the difference. They just haven't been able to find suitable replacements. Alex Len is not that guy. Chris Boucher, they just haven't given him the opportunity to stake that spot. But I hear your point.
But look, Cyrus, as much as people leave, if you want them to stay, you will make a plan. It's basically what the Lakers did. Basically what the Lakers did with Rajon Rondo, right? He was like, pay me X. And they were like, we don't think so. And he was like, sayonara. I guess that I'm assuming that's what might have happened with the front office and with the likes of Serge and Marc Gasol. Yeah. Like, yo, the Lakers want me. They want to offer me X. Can you offer me Y? Maybe not. Okay. Then I'm packing my bags and I'm going to sunny California. Like, same for Serge. The Clippers.
I get you. It looks as if, because if I remember this correctly, Serge, there was a feeling that he was lowballed in terms of the offer that they gave him, because they were trying to keep Marc Gasol as well. So Serge felt, well, look, I like the organization. You guys have looked after me for a while. However, you're trying to keep both of us when you really should be keeping me and making another plan. And so he's like, I'm going to go to LA to the Clippers and do my thing there and get paid properly. And I guess the same with Marc Gasol, because like you say, you mentioned they let them go. They didn't let them go. The guys couldn't actually be retained in the way that they wanted to. And I think also, if they had actually, you see, the problem was, it's tough to keep people in Toronto. Not everybody wants to be there. I think Serge would have managed, though the cold is always going to deter a lot of people. But I think that, you know, when you look at it, they were thinking, well, Toronto versus potentially moving to LA, where it's warmer, there's a lot more playing stuff around me. I mean, they don't have to work as hard at the Clippers and the Lakers as they would have in Toronto, because of the players that they have around them. But let's also then look at the points per game thing here, because we've talked about the defensive end, but it's not as if the Raptors have been lighting up the league from the offensive end as well. And they are currently 16th in points per game. They're averaging about 111.1 points a game. I mean, that's not a bad thing necessarily, but to be middle of the NBA, especially when your defense is bottom half of the NBA, you're going to be facing the current problems that they have.
Yeah. Now, look, Cyrus. I mean, let's once again go to who are their scorers. The most flamboyant one at the moment is Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet is a walking bucket at the moment. Norman Powell, also a semi-walking bucket. Kyle Lowry, he's been scoring. Now, I hate to do this, but we've got to go back to our man Pascal Siakam. Siakam is in danger of becoming what and also another African talent, Giannis Antetokounmpo, became 2 seasons ago, where you're a one-trick pony. Like you said, spin move, spicy P is like Eurostep Giannis. Once they clog the lane for Eurostep Giannis, and that's how the Raptors beat the Bucks, right? In their championship run. At the moment, spin move P or spin move Pascal, spicy spin move. Once you stop that spin move, I don't think he's got another go-to move, because he's quite a lengthy player, and I think he loves to take advantage of the fact that he's tall, long, and lanky. And once he spins, and if he beats you, you're gone. And then, but once you block that, he doesn't have another go-to move, and I think that's problematic for a guy playing at that level. And I think that's been part of his problem. And I think Coach Nick Nurse and his training staff need to work at that, because he also hasn't got the most reliable mid-range or
his jump shot is not
three-point shot. So his jump shot is not there, and I think they need to develop that. And I see Giannis has been developing that over the past couple of seasons, and I think Pascal needs to do the same, because you can't be playing old school, because that's how you play yourself out of the league.
Yeah, and that's true. And I think the thing with Pascal, though, and I mean, it seems as if but he really is sort of the heart and soul of what they're trying to do going forward. But when you look at, and you mentioned the top scorers in this team, Fred VanVleet is leading the way in points per game with 20.9. Then Pascal is behind him with 20.4. Then behind them, from points per game perspective, is Kyle Lowry, who's 19. Chris Boucher is 14. and he's in the top 5. Now, that's not necessarily what you want, especially when he's coming off the bench and he's not contributing as much offensively as you want. You'd need to have the rest of these guys contributing more, because OG's contributing 12.6 points a game. Norman Powell is averaging 10.5. That's just not good enough. And then the rest of them are in the single digit numbers. So when we're looking at what the offensive rating then looks like, you're seeing them as being 16th in the NBA. That's just not good enough. This is what
Cyrus,
the Raptors should be working on too.
Cyrus, let's just keep it real, right? Let's keep it 115.
Yeah.
Who are the Toronto Raptors starting 5?
Well, in essence, I guess you're looking at the likes of Lowry, Van Fleet, Siakam, potentially Anunoby, depending on where he plays. But you then got Boucher and Alex Len. Oh my gosh, Aaron Baines.
Cyrus, you have just described why they're suffering, Cyrus.
Yeah.
When you have that as your starting 5 and your bench isn't deep either, they're like a donut, and it once had all the sprinkles on it and all that glazing and the nice icing, and now right before our very eyes, if you look at the players that we've mentioned that have left the franchise, it's like that topping just crumbled and started flaking off right before our very eyes. Now they're just an ordinary donut. They're like, okay, Kyle Lowry, all-star, multiple all-star, yes,
so
Pascal.
What you're saying is, then you're looking at a team that doesn't have any of the extra trimming that it used to. There's no real star on this team, and I guess that's what they're hoping Pascal would be. But there's also time for people to improve. This is the beginning of the season. It's a horrible start to the season. Maybe they need to start looking at trying to rejig things going forward. However, it isn't working as it currently is right now. Kaunda, we're going to have to leave it right there. We've come to the end of the episode. Thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe. We want to see you on here regularly. Turn on that bell notification as well, so you get to see that the post-up show is on all the time. Kaunda, thank you for being on board. You do your best. I just know that when it comes to the Raptors, you're kind of like, yeah, these guys could do better. What are you looking forward to from them?
Look, Cyrus, I've got big faith in one Masai Ujiri, who's the president of the Toronto Raptors. I know he'll make a plan. He is the first coach that took a championship to Canada, to Toronto. I got faith in Masai.
Yeah, okay.
The first president. Sorry, my bad. Hey,
it's like
he might as well have been the coach. He might as well have been the coach, Cyrus. So he's the first president to bring Larry O'Brien over the border to Canada, and I know he's a man about his tactics. He wasn't GM of the year for nothing way back when he was at the Nuggets. So I know he's got a plan in hand. I know he's going to turn things around, and I also believe in Nick Nurse, a rookie coach that took the team all the way. I know, given a few mishaps at their competitors, but it is what it is. I believe in Masai. I believe in Nick Nurse. I think they're going to turn it around.
And I agree with you. Those are the guys who got to do it. Thank you for watching Post Up Show. We'll be back.